All
Yes,
right. No, you want it all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're called to order here. Thank you for being here tonight. We'll ask you stand for the pledge, the prayer. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Duncan.
Heavenly Father, just again that you have blessed us and most certainly we thank you. We thank you, and most of all for your mercy. Continue to smile upon our town of Oakland to grow even more. Continue to help us to make good decisions, and we thank you in your son.
Amen. Okay. Some of you are kind of curious tonight. Mr. Johnson had to be out, and members of the board, he is doing very well in recovery from his surgery. So, let you know that. Ms. Yvonne, I show a quorum present tonight. If you, gentlemen, if you'll look at the agendas, I'll ask for approval of the agenda. I would make one comment. 2213 will need to be pulled, and we will substitute in its place 2227.
Could I add a discussion item for discussion?
Yes, sir. You have a. What would you like to add, Mr.?
7 of 10, selling out of them.
Okay.
I could add that in the discussion.
I'd like to add something under old business.
Okay, just let me get him down, sir. I'm gonna put that, Mr. Cates, when it's your turn to talk.
That's
Comments
fine.
from Alderman.
That's fine.
I'll just put it right there. Let you talk about that then. And then, Vice Mayor Sutton, what did you wanna do?
I want to talk about, I don't know what's been done, maybe get an update, see if anything's been done, but we had talked as a board about putting out some publications or information on getting our citizens to buy online if they couldn't get it in Oakland to increase
Okay.
our sales tax revenue.
Okay, I'll put that, if it's all right with you, I'll let you do that on your comment time.
Okay.
Fine? All right. Any other adjustments to the agenda? Okay,
I make a motion to accept the agenda with the changes.
have a motion from Mr. Cates to accept the agenda with changes. Have a second.
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Hahn. All in favor? Okay. Moving down to the minutes. Ask you to look over the minutes for the regular meeting of January 21st, 2022, and I'll take a motion for approval when you're ready.
Call for the vote.
Have a call for question from Mr. Cates. Have a second.
Second.
Have a second from Vice Mayor Sutton. All in favor? I'll ask you to look at the special meeting February 1st, 2022. We'll take a motion when you're ready.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion from Vice Mayor Sutton to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Fisher. All in favor? Moving down to C, special meeting February 8th, 2022. I'll take a motion when you're ready.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Duncan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Hahn. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. At this time in our meeting, we will have comments from any citizen. I would remind you, this is open for any citizen of Oakland to be heard on items and concerns that are not included on the agenda. Citizens are to be recognized by chair, come to the front of the room, and before speaking, each speaker shall state his name or her name and address for the record. The mayor and board or alderman shall make no decision or consideration of actions of citizen comment, except to refer the matter to the town manager for administrative consideration or to schedule the matter for a mayor and board of alderman consideration at a later date. Speakers shall limit their comments to 3 minutes unless otherwise allowed by the chair. Your speakers shall limit their comments to one subject. Is there anybody who wishes to address the board tonight? All right, hearing no one there, I will move on. Okay, comments from the mayor. I have one brief thing. Tori, would you please step to the podium, please? I have a question related to the baseball park down by the West Junior High. Has anything been done? Yeah, have you done any exploration at all on putting lights there and extending that field and making it regulation for high school and baseball?
No formal, nothing, sir.
Okay. I would make a request that you proceed with, talk to Mr. Johnson and proceed with getting some information to the board and getting ready for us to bid that and get lights and get that field ready so it's regulation.
A bid for putting on lights and extending the field?
Extend the field and get it into regulation
Yes, sir.
order. That is my request to you, and then y'all can bring it to the board and the board can consider it.
Yes, sir.
But I think we've talked about that field and we need to get that field ready and get some lights on it. That's all I have. I do know, I'm gonna skip to Mr. Hahn because I know he has a question for you. So Mr. Hahn, I'll skip to you.
If I may, can I make a comment on the baseball field?
Yes, sir, you can.
So, also, if we're gonna get it regulation, for middle school, high school ball, we'll probably need to look at a mound. They're pretty specific on that.
Well, my request is to get it regulation.
My comment was, wanting to know, what are the plans for the Spring Fest? There's a little confusion.
So, I scheduled a date for the Spring Fest, because I hadn't heard from the chamber. As far as I knew, the chamber wasn't doing anything. Come to find out, I guess the chamber is doing something. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what y'all know about it. As far as the Spring Fest that we were planning to put on, it was gonna be in conjunction with our fire department. Those guys did the festival back in November that they requested approval for from the board. So they kinda got their foot in the door and kinda started there. So we were looking at continuing that partnership going into the spring.
As a representative of our fire union, the discussion has, we're gonna help the Parks and Recs with the Spring Fest, whatever they need as a representative.
Okay. Mr. Hahn, if I might comment on that just a little bit.
Yes, sir.
It is my understanding that the Chamber of Commerce has been putting out, they're gonna have a festival,
Yes, sir.
which is fine. We can have more than one festival. They have not approached the city in any form or fashion about that, other than they just posted some dates. And so we will let them do their thing, and I think it would be good to have more than one festival.
Absolutely. More than
I just think the important thing to go on record is to make sure that people know that they have to bring that in front of the board to get it approved, or the fees will not be accepted
Right.
from the ordinance.
So
So they need to know, the chamber needs to know, and the fire department needs to know that it needs to come in front of the board to get approval to where the impact fees do not take effect.
Yeah, to kind of tack on to that, I'd like to be clear that the fire department would be kind of assisting us. So it would be an Oakland Parks and Rec event, a town of Oakland event, and then their group would be kind of assisting in the logistics of it.
Well, the problem with that is, though, are you gonna have any booth fees or anything?
As I understand it, back in October, y'all passed that any town sanctioned event waives the fees and the bond and
Well,
all that.
that's not the problem. The problem is the town, we've been advised by council not to be in the event business by MTS. So that's why we had to get a nonprofit to hold it in the first place. So either they're having it or you're having it. If you're having it, you can't charge any fees for booths. If they're having it, they can. And that's just the way it is.
Well, then the question kind of goes back to y'all, if y'all want Oakland to put on a festival, or if y'all want want to defer to the chamber.
I think
That would
what,
be y'all's decision.
let me just put it to you this way, Ms. Torrey. You're doing you're doing a good job of trying to organize it. I think it would be advisable for you to get with the fire department and let them be the lead on it, and you assist where they need assistance with that.
And to be clear, it's not the fire department.
It's the union, I got it,
It's the
I'm
fire
sorry.
department union.
I
So
apologize.
It is not tied to the city, it is our union. All the members back there of the fire department have joined a union to help with other things, and if we have to, then that's what we'll do. But like I said, I don't wanna step on Ms. Torrey, this is her show, and if we need to assist, that's what we're here for.
Well,
And we haven't really ironed out what was gonna happen with Springfest, so
Okay,
this is y'all, it sounds like we need to head it and do the donations to the charity again.
And the thing about it, we need to be careful with Springfest. Springfest is something that the chamber had. If somebody else wants to have a festival, I would advise not to take their name away from what they have. Like the county chamber has the Cotton Festival in the fall in Somerville. And some other organization go up there and use their name, that just wouldn't be ethical. So if, I'm like the mayor, it can be more than one festival in Oakland. The only thing to waive the fees, they have to get approval by the board, and when the town approves that, then those fees are waived for them people. And so I advise every nonprofit that wants to do it, but as far as the town having Park and Rec having a Spring Fest or a festival, we've been advised by legal not to get in the event business. That's why we reached out to nonprofits trying to get that to happen. We can't have events.
Okay. All right, so I think what we've got here is the fireman union is gonna have a spring festival, and you're going to assist them where they need some help.
Sure.
Is that acceptable? Everybody got that?
Good.
Okay, we're good there. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate y'all doing it. And y'all can come up with a name for it, and I look forward to being there.
I got
Mr.
one
John?
more, on the Alderman comment,
Yes, sir.
if I may.
Yes, sir. You have the floor.
I would, I'd like to recognize Ms. Lindsay White. She works for Jay Johnson. She's his, secretary, administrative assistant. Guys, she does an excellent job. She puts out many fires. Mr. Jay's always spoke highly of her, and, I think I'm gonna use my Alderman comments month to month to recognize employees. She does an excellent job, and thank you for working for Oakland.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Torrey. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Hahn. Mr. Sutton.
Yes, we had discussed this, and I think we all agreed that it was a good idea, but we need to get on our webpage, our social media platform, our water bill, any way that we can let our citizens know that if you can't buy it here, buy it online. And that means your Sam's orders or whatever. That if you're gonna pick it up out of town, order it online to where Oakland can receive those sales tax revenues. And also, I encourage every one of y'all to contact your legislatures. There is a movement by TML to ask for more sales tax to come back to the municipalities. And so, several years ago, they raised it from 6 to 7% on the flat rate. And they've kept that whole penny the whole time. And just for y'all that don't know, that half cent that we raise the sales tax generates between $800,000 and $1 million a year. So if we could get half of that cent they raised it back to the municipalities, you're looking at $800,000 to $1 million a year that we could have in our general fund. So it's real important to reach out and try to get their support on this, because we're not the only people hurting. I mean, every municipality needs more revenues. And according to the state, when you listen to the reports, they're not having any trouble at all with their revenues, none.
That is true. That is true. Anything else, sir?
That's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sutton. Mr. Duncan, you have anything tonight?
Yes, most certainly, we want to, wish, our city administration a speedy recovery.
All right, sir. Mr. Cage?
Yeah, I had a couple of calls Monday on a tent set up here on the side of 64, they were selling flowers and stuff out of it. Is that legal? I thought we agreed that that wasn't gonna happen. What's in the difference? And
Okay,
the fact that the phone call that I got, one of them brought the hot dog stand into it. Said, y'all won't let him sell hot dogs out of a trailer, but you're gonna let somebody sell flowers out of a tent. I couldn't argue with that, so if you're gonna be fair to one, you gotta be fair to everybody.
Did they have a permit?
I don't know.
well, who was it? Was it, wait, let me rephrase that. Was it a business that has a, building site like, in one of the,
I would hope so, because it's a flower shop in that parking lot where that tent was set up.
yeah, if it was a business that has a physical site there, I would think it would be permissible for them to, as long as they're, whoever owns the strip where they have their shop, they have a right to set up out in front of their shop.
If it was somebody else, she's a
But
lot
I don't
nicer
know
than
who
I
it
am.
was.
But what you trying to say, or if I'm taking it wrong, everybody got a business in Oakland and move a tent on the side of 64 Highway, and it looked like an Indian village down through there.
Well, I don't know, I'll have to check
I mean,
into
I'm
that.
just saying, if you're gonna be fair to one, you gotta be fair to everybody. If you're gonna let one do it, everybody do it. If one can't do it, nobody can do it.
And I agree, but I don't know where we're at on, do we have a code enforcement officer right now?
I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Do you know anything about that?
No, sir, this is my third week, but we will be checking into it.
I appreciate you, man. And sir, if you don't mind, could you introduce yourself to the board?
I'm Rex Wallace. I was with the town of Atoka for 14 years. Been talking to Mr. J. Y'all had some issues. That's fine. Mr. J told me the other day that I am the inspector now. I know he's out having surgery, so next week we will tidy up all the loose ends. But I have been doing all the inspections and taking care of everything for the town.
Well, we appreciate it. Glad you're here. I hope they didn't get me in trouble with my old high school football coach,
But I would just like,
Darryl Walker.
I'd like
He's
a
still the
que-
mayor over there?
Yeah, he is.
I'd just like an answer on it. Is it legal? Is it not legal? Can everybody do it?
Why, we will get you that answer, Mr. Case.
It ain't legal if they don't have a permit.
I don't care what, if they got a business, they still is,
But I don't
still
think they'd
wrong.
be considered a transient vendor if they already have a business license in Oakland.
But they should have a permit or something to set up on the side of the road.
Well, I mean,
The
if,
ordinance also speaks to location as well in terms of health, safety, and those type things. So, I mean, it would be necessary to know the specifics. Each one would be dealt with on a case-by-case basis, of course. And then you would have to take what they were doing and what the operation was and compare it to the ordinance, to determine whether or not they were in violation. So, I mean, if the town wants me to
I don't think it's necessary on that. I think that we just need to enforce what we have now and let the code enforcement officers determine if that's right or wrong. And I just don't think it's this job's board to worry about that when we've already got something in place to cover it.
I'll give you the same answer I gave a while ago. I'll just have to check on it, Mr. Case.
Now, that's
and
fine.
get
I
back
was
with
just
you.
curious. If you're gonna let one, everybody can do it.
All right. See, Mr. Fisher, you have anything tonight?
The, was it Rossville who, brought up a impact fee with the, county, and they turned it down? And the question was brought up to us whether we're gonna allow it, turn it down, or what have you, with the, county. It was discussed from us on an impact fee being on developments, commercial or residential. Now, the question being is, do we wanna get into that game? And Ken brought it up, a month ago? We were trying to figure out what we were gonna do. with
Well,
it.
the question was raised, could a municipality develop their own adequate facilities tax or impact fee? Whatever, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
When you look up the private acts definitions. But we had asked Mr. Minor to check into that to see if we could assume the adequate facilities tax fee, and if that would be addition to what the county is already charging, or if we would take that fee over.
Were you able to look at, see what the deal was?
I will be glad to provide a written opinion
Okay.
on that.
please. And that's all I got.
Okay. All right. Moving on, any reports from department heads tonight? Okay, hearing none there.
I got a comment I'd like to make to the fire chief.
Mr. Fire Chief,
I want to really thank you, and I told him earlier, I sit in these meetings and hear them talking about their guys go this training, that training, that training, this training. You don't even know what they're talking about till you need them. And they showed up at my house the other night, and believe me, I appreciate what they did, the way they handled it, very professional. I couldn't have been any better off if I'd have been laying in the Mercer room before they got me there. I just want to commend y'all for that, because just hearing you training, I don't know what you're talking about half the time. I don't think, maybe a lot of us do. But now I can see what you're doing with this fire group, and it just stands out. I applaud y'all for that.
Thank y'all, appreciate it.
We do have some very, very good first responders in Oakland. We're blessed.
all right. Anything else on the city?
Is Mr. Ellis here?
No, oh, Hardy's out sick.
Is there a representative of
Yeah.
his here? Mr.
Travis?
Walk, how you doing? And you may not know this question, but do you know where we're at on the phase 1 of the water treatment plant on getting that thing upgraded?
No, sir, I don't.
If you could ask, somebody to just send an email or something, I'd love to know where we're at on that.
I will.
Okay, anything else? All right, we will have no town manager's report tonight. The acting town manager has not done anything worth reporting on. Oh, wait a minute, I did. We got a phone fixed, didn't we, Miss Bond?
Earn yourself. You got a phone fix.
Next is the consent agenda. Items under the consent agenda are deemed by the mayor and board of aldermen to be non-controversial and routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. The items on the consent agenda will not be individually discussed. Any member of the board of aldermen or town staff desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed and placed in regular agenda. It will then be placed on the agenda in regular order. Requests to remove any item from the consent agenda are not to be debated. The board decided that they wanted to make sure we read the consent agenda items so the public would know what we're talking about. Resolution 2218 authorizes the purchase of a knuckle boom loader truck in the amount of $177,725.24 through the purchasing program Sourcewell. Resolution 2219 authorizing the purchase of an asphalt roller in the amount of $40,225 through the purchasing program Sourcewell. Resolution 2220 authorizes the purchase of 2 variable message boards in the amount of $38,209 through the state of Tennessee statewide contract procurement. And Resolution 2221 authorizes to advertise for biddings of park lot and sidewalk improvements for the Oakland parks on Normaco Code. Those are the 4 items on the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Can we have some discussion first on this? I just want to know why we are purchasing items that large through a purchasing program instead of getting bids on the trucks. What's the reasoning behind that?
Okay, on the Sourcewell, we have had this account with them for a while, and what they do is take out that time frame of shopping. They already have these contracts where you're getting the lowest cost, and this day and time with the supply shortage, having to come and wait a month or 2 to get all the bids approved, this is the best way, if you find that item you need, to go ahead and get it purchased. And so that's why Harvey wanted to bring it we can get you more information, there's a salesman that will talk to you, we can have videos sent here, but it's a really, really good operation.
I'm not sure that that's the
Okay,
way our charter.
gentlemen, let me stop you here. If we're gonna pull this item out, we need to vote to pull it out and put it on the regular agenda.
I make a motion to pull them all out on anything that's a purchasing program from Sourcewell.
Okay.
But,
I'm just
but we
saying,
already
you're
approved the
talking
agenda.
time-
Excuse me. We already approved the agenda. Have we done it beforehand? That would be legal. Right now, we're past that. I mean,
We're on the consent agenda now.
no, we approved the agenda. The
And this
agenda
is
was,
already- y'all already
And then,
approved
and
the
the consent agenda was on the agenda that we approved.
right, but then then we voted to approve the agenda's approved. We discuss it, we're done with it. Am I
No, we're not
wrong?
done with it.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hold up a second, gentlemen. Let's hold up a second. Okay, Mr. Tom, if I am correct, we have two choices here. We can either vote not to accept the consent agenda, not to accept the items on the consent agenda, and follow what Mr. Fisher's saying is we've already approved the overall agenda, so the only thing we can do here is vote not to approve these consent agenda items. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
Most towns and the school boards that I deal with, when the agenda is approved, when you get to the consent agenda item, you still have the ability to vote.
Right.
Well, some boards even allow an alderman to say, I want to pull a specific item off the consent agenda and to address that as though it's a specific item on the agenda.
So in your opinion,
Other boards will just, allow that, motion to be made to pull that item off and then vote on it. I think that when you're approving the agenda at the beginning of the meeting, you are approving all of those items.
The consent agenda just means that you're gonna vote on them all together. We approved to vote on every one of these resolutions that's on there. We're just not voting on them as a whole. We're breaking them down and voting on them separately.
Oh, now, okay.
I
That's
I
not
have an
how- that's
opinion-
not how it's
I have
done.
an opinion for Mr. Tom that we can pull them out and vote on them correct. And
Yeah, I think the better practice would be to move to, an alderman move to pull one off, and then the board vote to address that as again, other boards will just allow that alderman to pull it off and then just address it as a separate
Before
agenda item.
the agenda, you knew, I mean,
Some don't.
well,
All right,
we're not some, we're
I'm gonna
supposed to be
make
following the
a
rules.
ruling based on attorney's advice. Mr. Sutton, which one does, okay, you have A, B, and C, 22, 18, 19, and 20 have asked to be pulled.
And then I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
All right, we have a motion from Vice Mayor Sutton to approve the consent agenda as amended. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye,
so therefore, shoot, you wanna vote against that, right?
no, I don't have the,
Okay, all right. Okay, so D has been approved. Moving back up to A, Resolution 2218, authorizing purchase of a knuckle boom loader truck in the amount of $177,725.24 through the purchasing program Sourcewell. Mr. Sutton.
I just wanna better understand and make sure from Ms. Laura that I know that this Sourcewell took bids and found low bidders. Is that what you're telling me?
Miss Laura, would you please stand and come to the podium?
Thought you didn't know it.
Still gotta be bidded out.
It's okay.
I knew my time was coming. Okay. What I was saying, that's my understanding, is they kind of take that time frame that you spend shopping, getting bids, and they do all that for you. We've been members for quite a few years, is my understanding also, so this must have been approved at one time, because we already had an account with them, an account number. Okay, so, I'm not putting the county mayor on the spot, but they use it. So if he doesn't mind sharing, their dealings with
Would you prefer to hear
Sourcewell.
from the county mayor or not?
Yeah, I would love to hear about it. I just know The short research I did on it, it's a company out of Minnesota, a private company out of Minnesota that's not in business for free. So I would love to hear about it. Y'all use that, Mayor?
Yes, sir. We belong to a couple of different associations, and essentially what they do just like you said, they go out and they pre-bid, they advertise this nationwide for everything from fire trucks to ambulances to pencils and papers in some instances. They get bids in and then they pre-bid it. And Tennessee law allows you to join these. If it's already been done, it follows Tennessee procedures, and these Sourcewell I know has. And essentially all it is a resolution of the board saying you want to be a member. Sometimes they charge you a small $100 fee. They make their money from the companies that sell through this. So that's how they stay in.
They're a middleman.
It's sort of, they get a little, like a little cut, a little percentage somewhere
Okay.
in there. It's not a lot, but it's enough to keep them going. Like I said, we belong to a couple of them, and they're really easy. Now, I will say this, I'm not, whether it's Sourcewell or not, sometimes they're not always the cheapest, but they do give you one that's been pre-bid. Sometimes you can get a local one cheaper, a tractor for like, mowing. They sell those also, but a lot of times you can get those locally because of either relationships or specials or something of that nature.
I'm just concerned about that being against our charter, because anything over a certain amount has to be bidded out. I'd like to see their bids on this.
Well, it does say that we can use the state process though.
I know, but I'd still like to see it.
If the
That much
state-
money involved.
If I can just say one more thing.
Well, if I could ask the mayor a question. So when you're gonna use somebody like that, would you at least check the state site to see if they have that on a contract bid on what their state low bid price is?
Oh, yeah, we check state, we check Sourcewell, and like I said, we belong to a couple of them.
You wouldn't just go to Sourcewell and buy it, you would make sure you did your due diligence to make sure it was in the ballpark.
Yeah, and we do, we call locally around to make sure that we got a good price. So that sort of sets the maybe the bottom price or the top price, depending on which way you're looking at it. So, and if you get a better one, then you take that one.
So do we know if the state has a knuckle boom truck that fits this description?
Now, Harvey was supposed to be here and explain, because I'm sure he's made some calls and done some checking and all. I don't know exactly what he's done, but we can get you updated on that. But my only thought on all this, and my conversation with Harvey, is that in our day and time with the supply chain issue, it's hard. When you find that vehicle you need, or that piece of equipment, you gotta go, you gotta
Yeah, but
get
you
it.
still got room
Or
to
it's
go.
gone. I know you do, I understand, low bid, but I'm just saying, this is a different, it's not last year, 2 years ago, it's different. So, and when we have to wait around, get bids, and then bring it before the board, that's a month, then we have to wait another month to get it approved, it's gone. So
Well, on this project, and I know you're not gonna know this question, so Mr. Walt may be able to answer it for me. On picking up yard debris, what do we have for picking up limbs right now? What do we have in place?
Dump trucks, Bobcat, backhoe.
Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing as a town, or does our vendor run that route as well?
They only pick up the cans.
Only the cans. So any yard debris and stuff,
We're having to pick it up.
y'all are having to pick it up with just what you've got on hand.
Yes, sir.
And it's a problem, y'all. We've got a problem with this stuff. I was contacted by a neighbor this week.
Sourcewell has been thoroughly looked through by everybody and all parties that are involved. And it would be the best interest in everybody to go ahead and get these things. That's what it is.
And I guess this is a question for you now. Will that be paid out of our solid waste fund? I know that we approved it in a budget, y'all.
Yep.
How much did we budget for this truck?
I'm sorry, I don't have the budget numbers. I don't.
Yeah. I wanna make sure we're within budget, for sure.
Being paid, according to the resolution, it's being paid from the solid waste fund.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Okay,
Do I have to sit?
No, you stand.
Well, I might excuse.
Everywhere, yeah.
while,
That's why she was looking at me.
Okay. Are you gonna wanna know the same answer question on the rollers? It didn't.
I do.
It didn't budget price?
He pulled all of them.
I'd like, I want the answer on that one too.
All but D.
Well, Mr. Frank I pulled 19,
Right.
Okay.
and, yes. So it is within budget, y'all, we budgeted 180,000 for it.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Mr. Harvey couldn't be here tonight, or he could have the answers to all these questions. He's at home sick.
Was, so where would this roller be coming from?
Miss Laura?
Maybe, is that for the street?
Yes.
I can speak on this one because I did a lot of the research. So I went to the state to, I believe it was CMI Equipment, and they referred us to a company in Dyersburg, Century, and Sourcewell had better pricing than what the state contract could offer. But however, this one is actually a used piece of equipment. This asphalt roller has 58 hours on it. They're giving us an extended warranty. A brand new one was 52,000. Harvey felt like this one was practically new and could serve our needs. And so, $40,225.
I feel good about that one. You said 58 hours?
Yes.
It's a lot better than the last one we bought, I can tell you that.
And it comes with a 1-year, 1,000-hour extended service protection.
We need to get that as soon as we can get it.
Okay. So you had
I'm
you're
good.
satisfied with A
I'm
and
good.
B.
I'm good.
All right, Mr. H, what about C?
Do what now?
You pulled C here.
I pulled 21, right?
20.
20.
22.
The message boards in the amount of 38,000.
Yeah, how much do we have to pay to rent that?
It was high because we approved this in the budget. I can
I
remember
know
that's
we
why we
approved
did it.
it, but I know
Corey
it's-
may have something on that, or, you remember it was high to rent those message boards.
When I rented the single unit for the Christmas parade, it was $1,500 for 7 days.
Yes,
7 days?
yeah. Yeah, I remember that's why we put it in the budget, because we were paying
I know
way
there's
too much
times
for
that we
rent.
can use it on streets and stuff. I'm not against it. I was just curious how much it was to rent it compared to buying it, two of them.
I would say that in my discussions with Tori on this, that this would be something we would use a lot more if we had them.
Well, there's places, a lot of times streets like water breaks and stuff, we could
Well,
probably
and
use
use
them to
message
detour
boards in
traffic
general,
and stuff.
So would this be under park and rec equipment or?
Would it be
Public
under
Works?
facilities?
How much did we budget for this, Ken? You
No,
got
it-
that?
State Street paid,
State Street aid.
it's Harvey's
Harvey's.
ultimately. but
How much did we budget for that? You got that budget over there?
No, I think 40,000.
Okay.
Machinery, 34,000.
34, so it's,
It's actually only like a couple of places that even rents those or sells them, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it was pretty hard, that's why we only ended up going with one on the west side of town instead of putting one on the west side and the east side. And especially, I know for me, the time of year that I rent them, everybody's renting them because everybody's having, parades and events. I don't know about, part of you guys, but for me, they come hard to find at that time, maybe not necessarily all the time.
How many places did you call to get this?
I was only able to get an actual number from 2 vendors that had them available to give to me, but I called 5 or 6.
They just never called you back?
Well, they just didn't have a unit to rent when I was looking.
What about selling? Have you checked the price on buying those?
No, sir, because when I was looking into it, Harvey already had permission from y'all to buy one, or buy 2, I guess.
He had it in the budget.
It's in the budget.
That was a budgeted item.
It's a Harvey's, but Harvey's one that did it, Mr. Cate.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not in the budget, and I agree, because we put it in the budget. My concern is we're supposed to be bidding some of this stuff out.
this one's on the state contract, so I know it's legal.
Well, if it's on state, that's fine. I just don't want to get in trouble again. We've been through this dog walk before.
Okay, have all the questions been satisfied now on the consent agenda items?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2218, authorizing purchase of a knuckle boom loader truck in the amount of $177,725.24.
Have a motion from Vice Mayor, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Hahn, all in favor?
Make a motion to approve resolution 2219, authorizing the purchase of asphalt roller in the amount of $40,225.
Have a motion from Vice Mayor Sutton, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Hahn, all in favor? Okay, next one.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2220, authorizing the purchase of 2 variable message board signs in the amount of $38,209.
Have a motion from Vice Mayor Sutton, do I have a second? Have a second from Mr. Hahn, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and we already approved, didn't we?
Old
Yes.
business.
Okay, all right, moving to old business here. Ordinance is on second and final reading. I will have a motion to open the public hearing, or declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to speak on ordinance 2202 to zone 5.5 acres on Meadvane Road is R1A residential. Hearing no one wishing to speak, I will close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion from Mr. Fisher to approve ordinance 2202. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Sutton. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'll declare a public hearing open on ordinance 2203 to amend the city code, title 12, chapter 1, to adopt building codes by reference. Anybody wish to speak on that? Hearing no one wishing to speak, I will declare the public hearing closed. You have a motion on ordinance 2203.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Hahn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Duncan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll declare a public hearing open on ordinance 2204 to amend the city code of ordinance by creating a new title 2, chapter 4 business tax. Anyone wishing to speak on that? Hearing no one wishing to speak, I will declare that closed. We have a motion on ordinance 2204.
Motion.
Have a motion from Mr. Fisher. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Duncan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on, I will declare public hearing open on ordinance 2205 to amend the fiscal year 21-22 annual budget by creating a special revenue fund. Anybody wish to speak on this? Hearing no one wishing to speak, I will declare the public hearing closed to take a motion on ordinance 2205.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Duncan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Hahn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that ends all our old business. Moving into new business. Ordinance is first reading. Have a motion to hear ordinance 2206 to de-annex acreage located on Highway 196 from the town of Oakland, commonly known as the Fayette Packing Company property, to establish public hearing date of March 17, 2022.
Make a motion here to ordinance 2206.
Have a motion to hear. Do you have a second?
Second with, the, lawyer, his comments on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that, yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, have a motion to hear and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Tom, you will do the explanation on this tonight, please.
So, this is the request of the, property owners, because it's the Fayette Packing family, but the 7 parcels are titled in different entities. And, the Keith family, and their, corporate entities have requested that those 7 contiguous parcels lying south of Highway 64 and immediately east of Old Highway 196, where the Fayette Packing Company is located, be de-annexed. I have prepared the ordinance that you have in front of you, describing, those, 7 parcels. And, one of those parcels has an old rental property that has been occupied on and off through the years. And that's the only reason why you have the section 2 in the ordinance, is that living in that rental property, and that person would have, 75 days to ask, that's not gonna happen, but to ask, that the matter be placed on a referendum.
Is that the 2101 on the chart here? Or 2102, I'm sorry.
I'm not sure which parcel, has the rental property on it. I mean, if I pulled my file out, I could locate it.
Yes, sir, not necessarily.
All right, Mr. Fisher, you have a question here?
My question being the taxes that we collect from them, would we happen to know how much revenue they take in and what tax base we get?
You could,
That report.
I mean, you could research out on assessor on that property and determine what its assessed value and come
I
up with that
guess what
number.
I'm saying is, we're getting rid of a profitable business that gives us taxes. And we're over here fighting for every tax dollar we can get, but we're ready to give away a business that sells $1 million a year.
So you're speaking of the sales tax,
Yes,
I can check on that.
and property tax as well, you know, some of it, but I'm looking more over the sales tax. I'm just trying to figure out if
Is
it's in
that
our,
a speculation or is
Or
that
is that in our-
factual, what you just said?
or is that in our best interest to do that or not?
Is that speculation, what you just
That's
said,
not
or is that
relevant.
factual?
It's not relevant.
It's
What it
relevant
is-
when you're making
what it
decisions
is-
to know if that's facts or
Okay, go ahead.
speculation.
Hold up just a minute,
Okay.
Mr. Sutton.
I didn't
Let him
interrupt
finish
you,
and
but
then
now,
I'll get you. All right, Mr.
my
Sutton?
thing is we're arguing about pennies on these, businesses that are in Oakland on homes, squeezing them for every nickel, but we have a profitable business that pays us good tax money, and we're ready to just, okay, go ahead, have a nice day. You can pay the county, but you don't have to pay us anymore. I mean, that's just kinda, I don't
Could
know,
I ask a question?
this doesn't seem right.
I'm back to Mr. Fisher
I'm good.
finishes.
Go
All
ahead.
right, Mr. Sutton.
I just wanna know if I'm basing my decision on a speculation of what that business does, or if it's factual on the $1 million a year.
You've already made your decision.
I hadn't made my decision, Jeff, but
Okay.
let me just tell you this, just so you'll know, because
Okay.
you probably don't.
You're right, I
But
probably
on
do.
$1 million,
Probably.
let's say that they did do $1 million a year to, that was sales tax. Do you have any idea how much revenue the town of Oakland would receive on that amount of money?
About 40,000,
About $11,250.
40.
So you've got a point, that's on the base sales tax of the county, and the county would get half that. So the county is still gonna receive that sales tax, but Oakland's not gonna get that half or the half cent. So you're looking at less than $20,000. Now, what they're wanting is for you to provide water service and sewer service to them,
That was my
which
question.
is run that line down old 196 and provide that service to them that they've been paying taxes for these years since they've been annexed. Do we have any idea what that's gonna cost us to do that? And if we're not prepared to provide them services to them, then what decision should we make? And that's, I'm looking at it as the totality of the circumstances, but I don't know how much business they do there. But that's why I ask you, are you speculating that they do $1 million a year, or is that factual that they do $1 million a year there?
Factual.
Factual,
Yeah, you can just ask him.
okay.
Now, the question being is, if his statement is true, then Forest Edge Drive has been incorporated into the town, and they still don't have sewer. Well, are they paying taxes? Should they get their taxes back? Should they stop paying taxes?
Have they
Should
asked to be de-annexed?
Should they be de-annexed?
Well, they could certainly request it.
Well, that's very true.
I didn't see anything on Forest Edge Drive. But I'm for de-annexing that too, if we can't provide the services.
Well, we can't
Okay,
provide a
Jim.
lot of service for a lot of people.
All right, I
And
believe we're getting,
we're gonna make this town this big, smaller
Okay.
again.
I believe we, both of you made your point now. Mr. Casey, you got a point you wish to make?
Well, I was just, Kim brought it up, I was gonna find out what it cost us to run the sewer and water and stuff from where it ends now over to that business. I like, you know, what would it cost us to do that?
Well, Mr. Harvey is not here tonight to answer that, so if you want that answer, we'll get it for you.
I was just curious with all the back and forth, what it would cost to do that. I guarantee you it costs more than $11,000.
What was your question, Mr. Frank?
That's 1 year.
What would it cost to where the line, the sewer line or water line ends going west? What it would cost to move it over to Fayette Packing,
Going south.
south on 196?
And remember, this is the first reading tonight, so you gotta.
I understand that. That's the reason. I'm just curious what it would cost to run sewer and water from where it ends over to that.
All right, we have some questions, and I'll ask you to check with Mr. Harvey and get those for me,
Yes, sir.
and we'll get them back to you before the second reading. All right, where we at
You need to ask for a
22.
motion.
here? We've got a motion
You need to
and
ask.
a second.
Well, I have another question.
All right, Mr. Sutton?
Are any of the properties that they're wanting to de-annex within 1,000 feet of Highway 64?
No, I doubt
They're a little bit more than 1,000 feet from those.
And the reason why I ask that question, because generally, all that property down through there, we annexed 1,000 feet off each side of Highway 64. So, this property seems to be beyond that 1,000 feet that is normal what was annexed down to the town limits, if that makes any sense.
It's more than 1,000 feet.
Cause it all depends on if it's straight road or a bend in it, cause it goes 1,000 or so many feet from the road. So if that road's got a big turn in it right there, it would go deeper in that territory.
I'd have to ask the surveyor about that.
All right, any other questions? We have a question. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, we had a motion and a second already. Did we have a motion and a second?
To hear.
To hear, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Sutton. Do I hear a motion and a second to vote on this, please? First reading.
I make a motion to approve on the first reading.
Have a motion from Vice Mayor Sutton to approve on first reading, and a
Second.
second from Mr. Fisher. All in favor?
Aye.
Have under new business resolutions. I'll open the public hearing on resolution 2213, plan of services for the annexation of 5.
We removed that and replaced it with 2227.
Right.
Thank you. You're exactly right. And I got it written right there, very plain English, just can't read it.
That's all right.
All right,
Right here.
moving on. Resolution 2222, I declare the public hearing open on resolution 2222. Does any annexation of 5.5 acres on Meadvane Road. Does anybody wish to comment on this? Hearing no comment, I will declare the public hearing closed. I have a motion on resolution 2222, annexing the 5.5 acres on Meadvane Road.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2222.
Have a motion from the vice mayor, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
You want to go on and take up 2227 since it's the plan of services.
That would probably be a good idea. Thank you for pointing that out to me, Mr. Attorney. If you will pull 2227 out of your packet, you were given that tonight. We have a motion to hear, we have to do a public hearing on this one too?
No,
Okay. Do I have a motion to hear resolution 2227, adoption as plan of services for the annexion of parcel .005.05 and .005.00 on Fayette County Tax Map 101.
Make a motion to hear resolution 2227.
Have a motion from Mr. Franks, Cates. Mr. Cates, do you have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Hahn. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Mr. Tom, you wanna talk about that a bit?
Well, this is the property, and Mr. Corton and I have talked about this. This is 5.5 acres on, I believe it's over on the west side. And, I don't see any problem at all with it because it's a part of it's an extension of existing development.
What is
And
it?
there's already services in the area.
Okay.
And it's my understanding that the developer is paying for the fire hydrants and things of that nature, so it's not a cost to the town. Our only cost is we will be servicing that area with our fire department, which is probably already on our map as well. Chief Walls, is that already on our map as a serviceable area now?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2227.
Have a motion from Vice Mayor Sutton to approve 2227. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Cates. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on to, resolution 2223, authorization of professional service agreement with Market Vex for website design, maintenance, and hosting, excuse me. Have a motion to hear.
Motion to hear.
Have a motion from
Second.
Mr. Fisher, have a second from Vice Mayor Sutton. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who is speaking on this tonight, Ms.?
There's our web designer.
Lindsay and Laura Hodges. On the website?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, you speak from there, Ms. Laura, you're good.
Okay, we had gotten, and help me out, Lindsay, we had talked, I think y'all talked to three, but I only saw two, on website designers that will improve our website greatly. So I take it now that we want people to be able to go on and onto the website and find out more information. We want to be able to put more information out there. The departments would like a place for applications to be able to be on, make payments and everything like that we can't do right now. So we, narrowed it down to two website designers. One was $10,000 and $500 something a month, and this one was like $1,200 something to design the website, and it's, how much is it a month?
It's like $189.
$189 a month for maintenance. This gentleman is in Lakeland. He was a commissioner, I believe, right? He's got some government background, and, he has done the Rossville website.
You know what his name is?
I'm sorry, I wasn't,
Did you say that the first one was a hardware cost or initial cost of 10,000? And what was the monthly maintenance fee on that? 500.
They're a much bigger company nationwide, so. we
And the
tossed
other
around
one is
that,
1,200.
Do we want a big team working on it, or do we want someone local that we could contact? And we just thought money-wise, it's gonna be a big improvement anyway, so, on what we have.
If I might comment here, Mr. Sutton, I sit in on this one, and this gentleman's presentation was very good, and we felt like he met the needs of Oakland much better than the other company did.
And of course, the only thing I ask is what's required. I would love to see that contract before it's executed.
Who will control what goes on that?
We will have a designated person in our city government that will do that. And I can't tell you who it is right now because we haven't appointed anybody, but we will have a person in our city organization that will handle it.
As long as it ain't for advertisement and stuff and a bunch of junk like Facebook, that's fine. But if it everybody just opens up and starts putting stuff on it, it'll run.
I don't think that would be permissible at all, Mr.
That's the reason I ask, who's gonna control what goes on it?
Okay. It will be controlled by the city, and it will be for city business.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
one question, you said that department heads will have access so they can access the system and updates?
Right, he's gonna set it up where all the departments will have their own page that you can go on and, just see what is going on. I mean, people can know about the things that are going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, like the improvements we're making that they might not be seeing. And, y'all could have your own page too, probably.
I hope not.
So in essence,
Thank you.
make a motion to approve resolution 2223.
I can't hear.
I made a
Wait,
motion.
hold up a second, just a second now, I got about
Get
3
this
things
small.
going in my head at one time. All right, have a motion from the vice mayor to approve, resolution 2223. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Hahn, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on. Do I have a motion to hear resolution 2224, authorizing sewer tap fees reimbursement for Hidden Springs?
So moved.
Have a motion from Vice Mayor Sutton, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Hahn.
My question is, when did this agreement expire? When does this agreement expire?
We just went through this.
In March? Do we know what the build out is on that? And last time we did this,
Sure did.
when we went back and inspected to make sure that those homes were complete, before we reimbursed, there was a lot of houses removed off that, and our bill wasn't near what it was supposed to be. So if somebody's prepared to tell me that all these are ready to be reimbursed, we owe them the money.
Long night.
So I talked with Jenna.
Stand up, please, Miss Laura.
Okay, I talked with Jenna today, and I wanted to find out exactly how much we owe this time. And she was telling me what all she had to check out with the 911s and the different areas that she had to check. And she, came up, let's see, 49 lots at 1,500 that are, I've got the list here, and that's 73,500 that is owed.
But I think the contract says that it has to be ready for occupation. And see, here's what my fear is. That contract ends next month. So if they're trying to slide through stuff right now that ain't completed, and nobody can tell me that they've looked at those lots and they're ready for that $1,500 payment per that lot, I'm not prepared to pay it. Now, can you tell me that that's ready? That you visited, you know that it's...
Oh, no, not physically.
Okay.
No.
Well, last time we did this, we went back and found several that was not ready.
Physically.
Be doing this because I don't have internet.
I make a motion, we table this resolution.
Have a motion to table.
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Hahn, all in favor?
I think when it comes back next month, this should be the answers that we're looking for too.
It's in the minutes to do so, sir. Thank you. All right. Resolution 2225, authorizing professional service agreement with DT Design Studios for construction, inspection, and administration of Byers Road Park site improvements. Have a motion here.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Hahn, have a second from Mr. Cates. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, who is speaking on this?
I guess I can, this is probably Mr. Johnson's expertise, but, this was done when y'all were deciding if you were going to do the dirt work of phase 1 and phase 2 together. This conversation was pre then. Typically, we would have this service agreement in place because of the time frame that it took that was extended. This part was left off of preparing the site work for phase 1 and 2. So this is just something that was put off at the beginning while it took time, and now we're here.
Any questions for Ms. Troy?
Just that I thought we'd already done this.
I did too.
Apparently, it been, I don't know, Mr. Johnson put it on here.
May have been similar, but I thought so. Who knows?
I thought we'd already passed that on the dirt work on phase 1 and 2.
The dirt work is passed, this is, for them
To inspect it.
to be inspected and kind of be on top of that construction process.
Is that engineer?
Now, I guess what she's saying is, we approved the dirt work
Right.
design, but now we're approving them to design
The
the
park?
field. But we've had some things change. I mean, do we know exactly what we want down there right now?
Well,
And so,
Mr. Sutton, you're going one step too far, I think. This is just them overseeing that construction, making sure that everything is checked off on the contract agreement, making sure that the right, materials are used, and that kind of stuff, as I understand it. I don't have what you're looking at, but that's how I understand it.
And this is a cost of,
hourly.
Well, this says principal landscape architect, $180.
yeah,
Landscape architect 3, 110. Clerical, 45. What are they inspecting or looking at while people are riding big old dirt movers? This is what this is.
I defer to Mr. Johnson on that. I just know that this is a step that should have been completed in the past, but because how we did it, kind of combining phases 1 and 2, this got set aside, and now it's to be picked up.
they've already did the soil samples and stuff beforehand, didn't they?
That was before my time.
Can I make a motion to table?
Have a motion for Mr. Fisher to table. Have a second.
I do, and again, I can't speak for Mr. Johnson.
Wait. Hearing no second, we will move back now, Ms. Torrey.
I don't know if this affects the ability to have the notice to proceed, on the dirt work that you authorized. I don't know that answer, that's a Mr. J answer.
I think we needed to get Mr. Johnson and the people that's wanting to do this together, maybe just have a special call meeting or something.
I made a motion to table, now they want to table. Makes no sense.
Well, I mean, here's the
For that
problem here on
reason.
tabling it, okay? So now you've approved a contract for somebody to go down there to start moving dirt.
Right.
Okay? We've approved that, so it's already done. And now you're wanting to put it off when we don't have anybody to supervise that job. So if we stop progress, then we gotta expect additional cost on that as well, if we're not gonna allow them. We're in a time of year where weather permitting means a lot to get things done. So, I mean, I'm just saying, that's why I didn't make a motion to table, Mr. Fisher, because we've already approved the dirt work to start,
I understand that.
but we just don't have an engineer to oversee the project, it looks
We
like.
don't have an engineer, we don't have a
As
town
I look
manager,
at
we
it,
don't
this
have a
is all
town
based on-
I
manager
can't hear.
This is all based
to
on
explain
how
it to us
it's working.
better. She
I-
doesn't know the real,
Torrey, thank
Answers?
you for your help trying to answer this. I'm quite certain that it is in order, and I'm sure that Mr. Johnson would not have brought it to us if it was not something that was necessary. What is the wishes of the board?
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the resolution contingent upon the fact that Mr. Minor says that this hadn't been previously, approved and paid for.
My recollection is that when the contract was approved, either last month or the month before, whenever it was approved, that the construction and inspection and admin services was an additional add-on
It was.
that was not, the board chose at that time not to vote for those services.
I
And
remember
apparently,
that.
Mr. Johnson is now of the opinion, I don't know, that those services are very much needed.
So you're saying that this, go ahead with this?
I've got a motion on the floor to pass this resolution contingent upon Mr. Minor
So what he said.
giving approval.
I second it.
Have a second from Mr. Case. All in favor? Moving on.
all opposed.
You oppose, sir?
I oppose.
Mr. Fisher opposed. I apologize.
That's all right.
Resolution 2226, authorizing professional service agreement with Geotechnology Incorporated for construction materials testing on Byron Road Park site improvements. Do I hear a motion to hear?
Make a motion here, 2226.
Have a motion, Mr. Case. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, Mr. Duncan. Anybody prepared to discuss this tonight? Do we have someone here to speak on it? Unfortunately, with Mr. Harvey gone and as well as Mr. Johnson, we're limited. I do think it is important that we get materials testing, and again, I'm sure Mr. Johnson would not have brought it before, if it was not something he thought we need to do and required. What are the board's wishes?
What's your opinion on this, Mr. Minor?
Well, I mean, it would be the same as with the, previous resolution, that these professional services are, was an additional add-on that was listed in the contract, and for whatever reason, when the contract was approved, those services were not voted on at that time.
And this has to be done too, right? This is required
Well, it's not required, but it would be
to help.
absolutely.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to pass.
Have a motion, Mr. Case, to pass. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hine, all in favor? Okay, moving on. Consideration of other business items. A, renewal agreement for Cypress Park concession stand with American Legion Post 292 for the spring of 2022. Ms. Torrey, you want to speak on this?
Sure. This is the standard agreement that we've done, kind of since I've been here. This is just renewing it through May. They're not ready to make a total commitment through the whole year, so this gets us through our spring soccer season.
That's the same people.
Same group, same equipment, same, yes, sir, all the same.
Is it some reason that they wouldn't want to do it for a year?
Well, I know they worry about people, just with the number of people in their group, so they wanted to make sure that they didn't bite off more than they could chew.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a motion, Vice Mayor Sutton, to approve the agreement. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second, Mr. Cates. All in favor?
Abstain.
Have an abstention from Mr. Fisher. Next agenda, item on the agenda is request of Girl Scout Troop 13108 squad buddies to be squad buddies with the Oakland Police Department. We have some representatives from the Scouts here to speak tonight on this.
Hello, lady.
And Chief's out there if you have a question.
Your cookies are up for me.
Thank you. I mean, we don't make them, but.
This is a senior Girl Scout troop 13108, as the mayor said, and, our troop supports Oakland, Tennessee a lot. A lot of you may not know that they, presented the World War II, Veterans Recognition Service that was held here November 20th. It was sponsored by Mayor Brown. They also, turn around Stephanie Bonner also achieved her gold award by building, 2 picnic tables for the Cypress Creek Park. So, they do a lot here.
Hey, Mayor. Mr. Mayor,
They've got some-
can she turn around? I can't hear.
Okay, all right.
When y'all talking, turn around, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
Okay.
Y'all speak up.
I didn't see
All right,
you.
young lady, go right ahead.
Good evening. I'm Abigail England with Stephanie here from Troop 13108, and I come before you to ask permission to place a collection box in the Oakland City Hall lobby to collect stuffed animals. A second collection box will be placed in the local coffee shop, Columbine Coffee House, authorized by the owners. These stuffed animals are called squad buddies. This project is sponsored by the Somerville Fayette County Library and will run from February through March. All the animals will be given to all 8 police departments: Pepperton, Moscow, Roscoe, Somerville, Galloway, LaGrange, the Sheriff Department, and Oakland. Police officers carry them in their squad cars to give to children who are involved in a tragic situation. In the midst and aftermath of trauma, a small token from an officer can open a line of communication between the child and investigators. It starts a conversation with the child. They start to entrust in the officer because they gave them a teddy bear. This will help get the child to perhaps calm down, remind them that this is not about them, and help it's not their fault, and that the officers are there to protect them and not to hurt them. Our troop has purchased 2 cardboard boxes and decorated them, as this right here, and we will monitor both of them. All the stuffed animals will be picked up by a troop leader, and we'll make sure that they're all clean and in good shape. And we will package them individually in Ziploc bags to help keep them clean while they're traveling in the squad cars. In addition to collecting the stuffed animals, our troop has dedicated
percentage of our cookie sales this year to purchase new stuffed animals to add with what is collected. And our troop will post this project and where to drop them off via Facebook. So I thank you in advance for your kind consideration to help us support squad buddies.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Chief,
Yes, sir.
I assume that y'all are in support of this.
Yes, just, yesterday, we had to deal with a child who was a victim of assault, and we used a stuffed animal to make a connection with the child. So we do thank the Girl Scouts for helping to provide that for us, because it does aid us in that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hahn?
I'd like to go ahead and just make a motion, approve the squad lead, to the Girl Scouts.
I appreciate that too, but I would like to say something, just on a legal, but is there any reason why that had to come in front of a board if they wanted to place something for a donation? Would that be something that had to come in front of the board, or just the town manager say, okay, yeah, y'all put it there? I'm just curious.
I would say probably the manager has this already under the charter.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and I have nothing against it. I'd much rather bring them up here and recognize them and give them a certificate for doing it than
So does
approving some.
Debbie.
I
Debbie
just-
does that too.
But I just don't see where this had to come in front of us.
Well, I think so, Roger, so is because I didn't want anyone to come back and say, who told Scout Leader Debbie Hummel that they could put something in the lobby, because this is a building that belongs to the city.
Yeah, but,
And I did not want anything to come back and say, well, who told them they could do it, without anything being approved by the board.
yeah,
think that's
I
what it
just,
was.
I just don't like being out of the scope of the board.
I'd
you
like to
know,
say something, please.
Okay, Mr. Case?
I challenge the board and everybody here to donate one. I'm going to.
I accept your challenge.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Hahn to approve this. Do I have a second from Mr. Cates?
Yes,
All
sir.
in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, ladies, appreciate it.
Good work.
Okay,
Another opportunity for grandstands.
yeah, I agree. This C, reporting on utility billing late payment process. Gentlemen, if you remember last meeting, we had a gentleman come in here upset about his bill getting to him late. And some of the reason were the postal service or whatever. We asked it, we checked on, Mr. Johnson did check on it. The ladies in the billing office followed our procedures and were in compliance and correct in the way they handled it. He suggested we might want to look at that ordinance a little differently in the future, but as at this point in time, things were done correctly. So I'm just reporting that to you. Any other items of business to be brought before the council? Anybody got anything they want to bring? Members of the, having nothing there, move on. We have, Ms. Yvonne, we have some credit applications. No applications. We do have some invoices I will approve. You'll look over the invoices there. I'll take a motion when ready.
My question on the Allied termite is, what is our agreement with them dated?
I understand the question.
Evidently, we have an agreement with Allied Termite to do business here. I never remember approving that, so I just wonder when that's dated, when that got approved.
This was during one of the outbreaks of
But didn't we vote as a board to buy the machine and do that ourselves, the sanitation ourselves?
That is correct.
Then what happened to that? Did we have the machine?
At this point in time, I don't believe we did.
Chief Walsh, can you speak on this?
I don't think, as far as I know, we never, never did purchase a machine.
We do have the equipment, but I think that we didn't get it until after this.
thought we had it and was spraying the building before we was having meetings.
This is September of 21. I'm pretty sure the pandemic was in 20 where we approved that. I'm just confused. If we've got the equipment to do this ourselves in-house, why in the world we're still paying somebody to do it? And how it gets authorized and gets a PO?
In fact, I think, was it Fire Chief or Harvey one said their guys, they had plenty of help to do it, to spray it.
I thought that y'all had the sanitizer, Chief.
No, we have, we use the fire station that we already have, what the firemen have. But I do believe, did Harvey not have, his crew not spray this building?
That's what he was told, that's what we were told, that he had a crew spraying it before our meetings.
I really believe it.
If you will note the last sentence of Mr. Johnson's explanation, it does say, believe all further work on spraying, disinfecting in town hall has been provided by the public works staff.
Cause I'll say it again, $575, I can buy you a machine cheaper than that and the chemicals to do it. And so,
I know for a fact we have the equipment now to do it. I'm not sure about the timing of this particular invoices.
somebody signed it. I don't see where it's signed by an employee that it was done. That's where I'm not seeing the invoice. Unless I see where it was received. But I don't see who acknowledged it at the time it was done.
It just states that Mr. Johnson, he remembers authorizing the work.
But what about a PO?
I don't know about this one.
Harvey said he was spraying this building before we had meetings.
That's what I don't know, if this is like a invoice that maybe they mistakenly sent.
There's somebody back there, maybe they can straighten it out.
Oh, hey,
That's why,
Just a second, please. Miss Lindsay, can you add some light to this?
If I'm remembering correctly, we had a, quick onset of a handful of people either exposed or with the virus. And if I'm remembering correctly, Jay made an executive decision to call in additional help because of the short notice. And when they do this service, they fog the place. None of us were here.
I do it every day at work, or have somebody do it.
We had to leave, so once they were here, the employees had to exit the building so that they could do the service here. They also did it in the building and codes, Parks and Rec building across the street.
Did they not do it at night when nobody's here?
It was later in the day. I don't remember the exact circumstances, but.
I can't see them do it during the day, during working hours with everybody working and make them leave a building.
Okay,
They should
thank
do
you,
that
Miss
after
Lindsay. I
hours.
appreciate you giving some advice, and we will relay to Mr. Johnson the concerns of Mr. Cates about the timing of it. And Mr. Sutton, do you have further questions on it?
I just don't understand why we're paying an outside service to do this and we have the equipment to do it ourselves. It's just more wasted money.
Okay, I will relay that to Mr. Johnson, and let him know your concern. Any other invoices there are questions about?
I'd like to see invoices being signed though, because I understand what she's saying, it was a emergency outbreak. I'd like to see them be signed, verifying that the work was done.
Okay,
I can verify the work was done,
You can,
yes.
next time you sign it.
They don't give you that at the beginning of the service.
Oh.
Yeah.
You saw them come here though?
Yes.
You saw them throw their stuff in here?
all right,
Alright, I'm set.
thank you.
what's this USA book, blue book?
Mr. Fisher, you have a question?
What is this USA book, blue book, for $599.95 with no PO?
place the order, and it was over the 500 amount.
Isn't this the second time we've had to deal with this issue with Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
I mean, okay.
With your permission, I will talk to Mr. Harvey about it tomorrow, or when I see him again, when he comes back from off medical leave, and make him aware that this is unacceptable.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Well, it needs to be handled. And I think you have full power to handle it.
I will
I'm not
hand-
sure you need anybody to get back
Okay.
or wait on anybody.
I will address the issue under my status as acting city manager.
Thank you.
Maybe all of them needs to start going through him, and make sure they do get signed instead of just trusting somebody to do it. Maybe everything should go through the head of the department.
We will work on it, Mr. Cates. I'll try to make it better. Any other invoices or questions? If you're ready, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion, Jim.
Mr. Cates, motion to accept,
No.
approve the invoices. Do I have a
I
second?
think he made a motion to adjourn.
No, we're not ready for that yet. I misinterpreted what you said, Mr. Cates. You're ready to go home, I understand, but I gotta have approval on this.
I need to check his sugar.
I withdraw that one.
You have a motion, Mr. Hine?
All these are 45 days, and over.
Okay.
Well, I think we owe the money on every one of them. I think our problems with the invoice are internal problems, not that we owe the money. I make a motion to approve the invoices.
Have a motion, Mr. Sutton, to approve the invoices. Do I have a second? Have a second, Mr. Cates. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Cates?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Meeting is adjourned.
This is freaking.
No. Not. May I keep it?
Yeah,
I will mention it next month. Thank you, Mr.
that's why they keep asking us for money. That's where all that stuff goes.
All right.
We have a fogger. We have a fogger. I have a fogger. I introduced this to this town.
We don't have a fogger.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. It's more than one. And you know what else I told him? The next time he needed it fogged, if he didn't have one, call me and I'd do it.
When they come over here, they come with
Sorry so long.
Do it. I do it every day.
Actually, it's not that bad. Hour and a half.
He
If I
wasted
get
the money.
going,
And I'm
If I
sick of
get
it.
going, it's 2 hours.
But I don't deal with employees. He wasted money. I deal with him.
How'd you
JD.
like your new building?
It's another example of him not doing what he was told. And that's not for me to be discussing with you, it's to be discussing with him, and I guarantee you I'll do it.
Oh,
He's spending my money like 40 going west. Yeah, it's high. It's gonna be outrageous.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mr. Fisher,
yeah.
what up?
we made it in an hour and a half tonight.
Huh?
Should have been an hour.
You're
Yes,
right.
because I'll buy
But
it
you
from
know
somebody
what?
that does it out in their
That wasn't
backyard in
me.
the
I
country with
understand,
it.
that's why.
I mean, I'm from the country.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher.
I've boiled them hogs and scraped them with
We can
bricks.
pass this shit. We end up passing it anyways.
I hear you.